And today we will take a look at this component and see how run it smoothly and without any complications. So at first let's take a look on the component and let's see what it does. This component, as in description, will provide you with scoring of your customers and will provide you probability of respective customers that they will buy your goods or your products or whatever you sell in next 3 months, and also set customers potential monetary value for next 3 months. What the RFM segmentation or predictive RFM segmentation is, how the models are computed, and more in detail in look into this kind of predictive analytics you will see in the different video from DataMind, and which is in time of making this video, not ready yet, but may be ready in time you are viewing this video. So let's start what you will need to run this component. First, of course, you will need data. Let's see at these data. What do we need? We need basically 5 variables or columns. First is transaction ID, which can be, well, whatever your company is used to. But basically the single purchase must be unique. That means when some customer buys from you something, he can buy one product or many products at the same time. So basically one purchase is a purchase like the same time, basically. So your customer can make, here we see purchased just a single item and or product, and in next we see customer purchased 6 different individual products. So basically each line is one purchased item, and I mean item, not individual product, because we can see somewhere, I guess in here, yes, that the same customer in the same purchase in the same date both purchased 2 pieces of the same product, and each piece is in one row. So basically that's the data we need. So first, again, the transaction ID, then customer ID, and again each customer needs to have individual ID. It can be combination, it can be hashed, it can be a combination of letters, signs, digits, whatever you use, and it has to be also, of course, anonymized, so no names, nothing like that, nothing like this. It has to be totally anonymized. So the third column is purchase date, and let's stop here for a minute. We need this exact format of date. So it's basic ASCII format, 4 digits for year, dash, 2 digits for month, and dash, and 2 digits for date. So if you will use any other format, it A may crash or B will not crash, but may not work properly with dates, so you will end up with model that will not be as good as it could have been, or the model build will be weak, so it will not run successfully. It may run successfully, it may not run successfully, depends on what type of or format of data you will use. But even if it will run successfully, there is no guarantee, or probably it will not. The probability models will probably not be as good as it could have been if you used the proper this kind of date format. Okay, the next column, the fourth column, is value of the purchase, monetary value, in whatever currency you have or you use. If you use multiple currencies, you need to transform it into one currency of your choosing, and yeah, so it will be comparable. What you also need to do is clean all currency signs like dollar, euro sign, or whatever. It needs to be a simple numerical value, simple number. You really need to clean out and put out all these currency signs. And the final column, the fifth column, is product ID. Again, your company probably has your own system for this. Okay, we have something from Keboola. Okay, so again, let's repeat, because this is really important. You need 5 columns or 5 variables in precisely this order. First one, transaction. Second one, customer ID or transaction. First one, transaction ID. Second, customer ID. Third, purchase date in ASCII format, this one. Fourth, value, simple number, and product ID. One more information: you need to have this data in Unicode UTF-8, not your local coding. It is also very important because, again, component may or may not crash, but probably will not treat your data correctly. Okay, so we have all these data, and you may have already them in Keboola with other data, or you do not have them in Keboola yet. If not so, if that is so, you do not have them in Keboola, you need to upload them in Keboola, which we will briefly go through. So we can go through it now. So if you do not have them in Keboola, then probably you need also to go to storage and make your own in bucket. So you go this and click to this plus sign, name your bucket somehow, mark it as in. Probably Snowflake will be good for you. Click for create, and you will have something like this. It will be in.csv and your name, whatever you will name it. Okay, so we already have this bucket, and then if you do not have the data in Keboola yet, then you just need to select in CSV import, because the component works with CSV type file. So again, we can delete this one, configuration, and make a new one. We'll name it as data import. Create new configuration. Let's import our data. And here what is important, as you may have seen, we'll take a look back. We have here semicolon as delimiter. So what we need to do is put and change it to the delimiter, the semicolon, the delimiter. You probably will have or the semicolon or more probably the colon, simple colon, like here, which is default for Keboola. Or you may have another, which is not as probable, but it is possible. So you will need to enter it here. We didn't have any enclosure, so we delete this, save, and click for upload. This will upload your data into bucket and will be named as this weird long number. So it will not be named as your input file, but as this number. If you already have your data in Keboola, then you probably already have them in some bucket. So what you need to do is to move them into your in bucket if you already do not have them there. So now what do we do now? Now that we already have this data in, so we go to applications. Okay, now so we have our data in our in bucket. So now let's take a look at the component itself. Let's go to the applications. Go to Predictive RFM Segmentation, select it, and click the new configuration. We can name this as we wish, like, I don't know, first attempt. Create configuration. And now we basically need to do two things. First is map our input data. So we click input mapping and select from in bucket our data. If you have in your in bucket more than one data, be sure to select the correct one. Because if, of course, you select the wrong data, which are not prepared for this component, the component will, of course, crash. Okay, you can also select more details, like it's highly preferable to have data already transformed into these 5 columns and only these 5 columns, so you do not need to map in each individual columns. It's highly preferable, but it should be also possible to, if you have other data which includes those 5 columns and the date is in the correct format, it is also possible to map them from this bigger file, but you need to make sure to map the correct order of columns. Okay, so but it's really preferable to have already data prepared with only these 5 columns in correct order and purchase date in correct format. Okay, let's create input table. We have mapped our input, and now what you need to do is to enter the API key you have received from DataMind. It's usually the combination of letters, digits, and signs. So it's better to copy and paste uh, to make it correctly. But let's give there some random number. The code will look something like this, for example. Then you save it. You see that the Keboola hashed encoded the key, and component will encode it. Then all you have to do is click the run here. The component run something about 1 minute, depends on how big your data is, how many rows do you have, and you will see the success. If the component will run successfully, you will see something like this. You will have in storage, if your component runs successfully, you can go to storage and to files, and you will see output, which is named exactly like this. Always the name of the file will always be the same. It will be named output table csv gz. It is basically a zipped file. You can download it wherever you want. We already have it downloaded, so we'll take a look at the files. So we have saved our output table. Now let's take a look at it. Okay, so now let's take a look on the results of the component. So we will receive this file, and the first column is customer ID. Well, it's obvious reasons it's necessary for us, so let's take a look on the second column. It's a prediction probability. It's actually the future purchase probability. So the probability is that customer will buy something from you in next 3 months. The values can differ from 0 to 1, and 0 practically means it's 0% of probability, where 1 means it's 100% of probability. Now you will probably never get 1. I can imagine the situation when someone will get 1. Of course, if the number would be higher or lower depends on the input data. So basically, the type of business you run and the customers you have, and so on. So in general, you will have these numbers between 0 and 1. The next column, the prediction probability quantiles, means basically they are deciles. So we took all the customers with their probabilities of future purchase and split them in 10 equal categories, and the boundaries, well, more or less equal, depends on the probabilities, of course. So it's always 10 categories with 10% of customers in each of them, and the boundaries of the probabilities are just to fit these 10%, or roughly the 10% of customers. So what you can do with this is you basically want to choose, for example, your best customers. For example, you can choose best 20% of your customers and take them into your and use them for your direct marketing campaign with the printed paper campaign, for example, with catalogs and paper letters and so on. Basically, the campaign which is more costly. So so you do not have to like mass bombard your customers. So just pick the ones that you will have a certain amount of probability that they will buy something from you, and your marketing money won't go waste. So basically, it's like the whole purpose of this whole exercise. So we have prepared these 10-day tasks for you, but what you can do is that you can take these values like prediction probability and the last column predicted value, and you can play with them, set your own combinations and do your own thresholds, or your own portions of your customers you want to use for your different types of campaign, for your different channels. Like for example, you can take only the best 10% of your customers. We can see that these 10% usually have high spending, or potential high spending for future, for next 3 months. But you can also take make some limits, take I don't know, only the up to up to, well, some certain threshold you choose, and yeah, so you can play with these numbers and use variance portions of these customers based on the probability and predicted value, so you can make your own categories basically. Okay, so that's how the results will look, and this is the result of a successful run of the component. You can also have unsuccessful run, and you will end with some errors. You can take types of errors you can have. Look on an unsuccessful one. So let's go to jobs, and unsuccessful run will look something like this. You will see an error message here. So you can also, of course, contact us for the support, but basically you will see here what the problem is. Most often, if not all, problems will be connected to your data. So here we see you have some weird purchase dates that are from future, which well, is like impossible. So so you should check your data if you have a correct format of the purchase date, or really the dates are not making sense. So you can also see the documentation, and there are some most frequent or most common problems you may encounter. So first we have here activation key problem. So it's basically the key you received from the data mine, and most probably you just enter it incorrectly. It's best if you just simply copy pasted it into the field. So like that's like the most simple thing. If even after this, if you really checked, you entered the API key correctly, and it still shows this this error message, then it's best to just contact us directly, and we'll look into the matter. Basically, I just repeat that the activation key is just for one single successful component run. If you would like to run it again on some maybe different data set, then it will, of course, will not pass. So in that case, you need to contact us for additional key. Okay, another possible messages is that you have too high or too low a number of months. So you have like you should have data that have seen from like 17 or 16 to 100 months of data of a time span actually. So you should check also this before. Actually, it's better to check it before entering the data into the component. Okay, we already gone through this one, so let's go to another one, and that's the message that basically says that you have too old data. What you need to have is sorry. What you need to have is at least the newest purchase should not be older than 3 months. That's basically what this error message says. So if you do not have any data or newest data, freshest data, that's kind of like a problem for you. Then you should make like a fresher data extraction from your systems and upload new, more fresh data. Another error message is this one. It basically means that your data is not big enough, because the component to successfully and meaningfully run the computing of the prediction models, you need at least 10,000 rows of purchase or transaction lines. Another opposite of this spectrum is you have too big data. Of course, the algorithms as such can run like unlimited number of rows, basically, but not this component, because it has limited memory size and disk space and so on. So it basically has some limitations, and if you have so many such big data, you should rather consider custom made predictive segmentation. Not necessarily an RFM segmentation, because you can also include another variables into the mix. So it's better some custom solution for you is much better for you. So basically this component is for some small, maybe middle-sized companies that have such like enough data for the component to be feasible, but not enough data that it would require, or it would be feasible to have a custom solution. And the last of these most frequent possibilities are that the computed prediction model, or one of the models, because the component computes two models basically. So that one of the models is not like strong enough. It means that the model cannot predict the future enough precision. It's basically this. So it's two error messages in this one line. So one of the ROC of the regression model is not good enough, or the linear model is not enough. It's basically depending on your data. So if you do not have enough, your data are not the patterns in your data are not good enough, then the model will not compute strong enough regressional linear models. Yeah, basically can happen if for example